Hello everyone! Today we're gonna check out the Binbok Gemini, a Switch Pro controller with Hall effect analog sticks. The box is super simple, there's not much to see here. Here's a quick look at the manual. This time, their USB Type-C cable is branded with the Binbok logo. And here's the Binbok Gemini. This is the black version. The front of the controller is completely made of a glossy transparent plastic. And you can see right away that it has dual rumble motors. On the back we have two back buttons, a switch to toggle the rumble modes, and extra buttons for the other functions. On the top we have digital triggers and shoulders, and a pairing button. This controller follows the exact same ergonomics of the original Switch Pro controller. In your hand it feels really close to the original, and I like this ergonomics a lot. When paired with the Switch, it can wake up the console, and the RGB lights looks very cool. It moves in a circle around the controller. The D-pad has mechanical switches, and you have rubber membranes for the face buttons, shoulders, and triggers. The shoulders and triggers are well made, and they are easy to press at any point of the button. On this unit, I noticed that the left stick slightly bumps into the controller shell. This is a small issue with their quality control, and will probably not happen with all units of this controller. The unit that you buy might not have this at all. It is not really an issue, it won't affect your gameplay, but you can feel that the analog stick has touched the shell on the right side. The D-pad on this controller is removable, but you don't get a different D-pad in the package, and at least for now, they don't sell different models in the website. The back buttons have a good resistance, and they're easy to press and won't get stuck. And they're placed right under your middle finger. And pressing on the center of the D-pad seems to activate all 4 directions. We'll confirm that later. As for the face buttons, they offer a slightly higher resistance than the originals, and they're a bit louder too. This controller has dual rumble motors, and you can select which one is active at any time. Moving the switch in the back to the middle disables the rumble. And moving it to the left enables the normal motor. Previously, I've covered another controller with a similar mechanism, and that is the Dpad M9. In fact, the switch mechanism works in the same way. This is the gray edition. So now let's run a comparison between the rumble motors of all three of them. For the function buttons, you have the M button, the light button, and the turbo button. With the light button, you can change between the different RGB effects. It has two different rainbow modes. This pattern goes from top to bottom. And this other one circles around the controller. You can turn off the lights by double tapping the button. Double tapping again will turn the breathing mode. And holding it down will change the brightness. Here's the RGB lights compared with the Mechanic G5 Pro. And here's how it looks in complete darkness. On the Nintendo Switch, everything works just as you expect. You have gyro sensors, and you can register a macro to the back buttons, or just remap a button. The turbo works well too, and the pairing button can also be used to turn off the controller. It works on Android with the Xbox layout. On PC, we can test the analog sticks, and here we have no dead zones in the axis. The circularity test though is pretty weird. It has 18% of error in one side and 12 on the other. And it will be detected as a Switch Pro controller. You can record macros on PC too. And the remap function works just as well. As expected, the triggers are digital. And the Dpad is pretty good. All of the diagonals are very easy to hit. And pressing in the center will trigger all 4 directions at the same time. The turbo has only one speed and it cannot be adjusted. And I tried all sorts of button combinations to find out if there was an X input mode, sadly with no success. Since this is detected only as a Switch Pro controller, I cannot run the polling rate test. It looks for X input controllers. But you can get it to work with X input if you use an adapter. I can run the polling rate test with an adapter, but take this test with a grain of salt, as the adapter may be influencing the results. For the teardown, we have 7 screws in the back. After removing them, you can easily pop off the back of the controller. Here you can see all of the back buttons. And there's this foam here to protect the battery. Here's the layout of the dual rumble motors. And here's the ass button. The battery has a capacity of 1000 milliamps. And here we can see why the face buttons are so hard to press. The rubber membrane is pretty thick. While this makes the buttons harder to press, it also makes the face buttons more durable. The layout of the face buttons is fixed, and here we can see the Dpad. On the other side of the board, we have our Hall Effect modules from Case Silver. And here you can see the switches for the Dpad. Also, the triggers have a metal pivot. And here's how the RGB looks without the shell. On my final thoughts, the Binbok Gemini is a pretty good controller. So far is one of the alternatives to the original Pro controller with the best HT rumble. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close to the original. It also offers 2 remappable back buttons with macro functionalities. It has turbo, the RGB looks cool, and even though the circularity test of the analog sticks wasn't that good, it doesn't have any dead zones, and the modules have Hall effect sensors. On the cons, I wish the face buttons were a bit easier to press. The front shell plastics can become a fingerprint magnet as they have a glossy finish, and it could have X input on PC. In the end, the Gemini is a good controller, and I give it my thumbs up. All the links are in the description of this video in case you want to check it out. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.